good job. This is what they have to do. These are the games that you have to squeak out. Just like yesterday's loss is annoying, this is a win that you have to kind of stockpile up, and good teams win these games.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. With me, as usual, is my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian, good night for the Yankees. Yeah.
Not all New York sports, but good night for the Yankees.
Yeah, it was a good night for the Yankees. It's how the first two games should have gone. Let's just say that. We'll just say that. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified when those videos go live. And coming up on today's show, previewing the final game of the series with Seattle. It's a 4-game series that feels like 6 games. And Aaron Boone admitted he was wrong. We're going to discuss that. But first, the Yankees finally beat Seattle in convincing enough fashion for me to feel comfortable at the end of the game.
Yeah, nice job at Nestor being able to actually last in this game, because after the third inning, you thought there was no chance he'd get past the fourth at that rate. So getting into the fifth, battling, it's kind of like what we said about Schmidt last night, right? Like that veteran kind of presence of being able to battle, even though you don't necessarily have your ace type stuff. Right. You got a good performance at a Nestor. You got power out of the bats that you need. You're gonna have games of this. I think you've heard Boone reiterate the importance of having guys in your lineup that can win you games when you're not necessarily clicking. Right? Mm-hmm. Nestor didn't have his grade A stuff tonight. The offense wasn't necessarily electric, but Soto and Judge, presumably next year your 2 top highest paid players, came through, got you a win that you didn't necessarily deserve. So good job. This is what they have to do. These are the games that you have to squeak out. Just like yesterday's loss is annoying, this is a win that you have to kind of stockpile up, and good teams win these games. Yep. They do.
Yep. As you said, Nestor, after 3 innings, he had 74 pitches, and he was still able to go through 5 because he had an 11-pitch inning and a 12-pitch inning, which he needed badly to get him up to that 5th inning. It's his 4th scoreless start at home in 2024. So we talked about that on yesterday's show. We said, Nestor's good at home, so he'll probably be good. And yes, he had to tough it out, but he toughed it out enough. So good on him.
It is starting to become one of those things, though, right? He is a different pitcher in the Bronx than he is on the road. I don't know why. It just is that way. It feels that way. It's very strange. But he is way better at home than he is on the road. How about Soto? This is now in the span of, is it a week? I don't know if it's exactly a week, but it's close to it, if anything, where he's got 2 home runs in 1 game. Mm-hmm. He's really starting to get that power stroke going, which is going to be key. I mean, I think we all envisioned when he got traded over here that lefty swing with the Yankee Stadium short porch he'd be able to take great advantage of that. Now, he doesn't necessarily have a patented pull swing where he's going to take advantage of that porch. He can really spread the ball across all. I mean, I think 2 weeks ago when he hit the ball to dead left center, so he can really put the ball to all parts of the park. But you're really starting to see him get really comfortable in the stadium. Start hitting for power. Judge hit his was it his 14th tonight? And Soto's right behind him there with power numbers. This could be really a sight to see come June, July, August, to see where these guys' numbers are at. And it could be what we always envisioned Judge and Stanton being able to do back and forth and seeing where their battle would become. It almost feels like it could be Judge and Soto this year.
Or even Judge and Sanchez back in the day when they both first came up, it feels like he has the perfect partner in crime. And then you also do have Stanton there as well. So if he starts to get going, he had 1 hit tonight that Haniger made a really good play, crashed into what used to be the auxiliary scoreboard. But Stanton hit the snot out of that ball. And I was like, see, even his outs, I like when his outs are loud and he doesn't look bad at the plate. So that's always an encouraging sign too.
It's so weird because he's so strong. It's almost like, but he doesn't get his body into any swing. It's almost like it's all hands whenever he swings. And the ball just it spits off his bat.
And
And
that was to right center. That wasn't even a pulled ball. It was unbelievable.
It's such a sight to see. Like, he hits the ball so damn hard.
Yeah. And as you said with Soto, he said when he came over, he wasn't going to change things, and he wasn't going to change how he hits to the opposite field. And both those home runs, one went into the bullpen, the other one went into the left field seat, bullpen and left, the visitors' bullpen and the left field seats. And just, I love watching this guy play.
He has power to all parts of the park.
Yeah,
he really does.
Amazing.
And that's what's so impressive. Because he's got that typical lefty swing where he could take advantage of pulling the ball, and he doesn't. He doesn't even look to do it either. Every time that he's up there, he's never looking to pull a ball. Now, it is impressive too, because any time that he gets that breaking ball on the inside, he does hold back and look to pull the ball and look to push it off. Because you remember the home run over the weekend, the one that he hit halfway up the bleachers. He waited on that slider inside and really took it with him and kind of waited on the pitch and lofted it into the bleachers. So he can really do either or, but it's oversaid in baseball, but it is the truth. He takes what the pitcher gives him.
Yeah.
Wherever you're going to put the ball, he's going to do something with it. He doesn't really look for his pitch. He goes and gets the pitch, whatever pitch you give him. It really is unbelievably impressive.
Yeah, and I like that he's not falling into the trap of seeing the short porch and wanting to hit everything there, which is some of the times what happens to lefty power hitters when they come to the Yankees. They get so enamored with that short porch that they're trying to hit the 6-run home run all the time, and it doesn't always work out. And I like that he's not changing a thing. The thing that I liked about the game on Wednesday, Volpe setting up those first 2 home runs, the one for Judge and the one for Soto, because 2-run home runs are way better than solo home runs.
Well, whenever DJ is ready to come back, I can't imagine a scenario in which he leads off. I think Volpe's taken this spot. Yeah. He's taken it. He's made it his. It's unfortunate. You don't want guys to get Wally pipped here and there, but it happens. This is part of the game. This is part of the career that you're in. LeMahieu will play.
Sure.
But I don't think he just jumps into the leadoff spot. I don't think he's earned it.
No, I don't think so either, but I like that. And then Verdugo broke the game open after the Mariners cut the lead to within 2. Tonkin allowed 2 guys to get on base via the walk. And then Cal Raleigh, whose name is actually Caleb. I don't know how you get Cal from Caleb, and it's been irrationally bothering me since I found this out. Big Dumper is his nickname. Enough. Yeah, he hits the 3-run home run to pull them within 2, but then Verdugo, I mean, that pitch was right in his wheelhouse, and just that was great. I was like, thank you, Alex Verdugo, for making me feel comfortable heading into the 9th inning. I appreciate it. Very good. Thank you. Because I was like, not again. We're not doing this again. It's not happening again. I refuse.
You got one more tomorrow. The crisp 12:38 start.
Yeah, 12:35. Some interesting stats. Yankee starters have a 1.01 ERA over the last 10 games, which is insane. The only 10-game span.
It's not a scam.
It's not a scam. In Yankees history, in which the starters had a lower ERA, was September 7th through the 16th, 1968. We mentioned how that was the year of the pitcher. The Yankees are 9-0 when Judge and Soto both record an RBI. And along with the 1.01 ERA, Yankee starters are 8-1 in those 10 games, and they have 63 strikeouts. This is Juan Soto's second multi home run game of the season. He's tied with Kyle Tucker.
He's got 4.
Kyle Tucker leads it. Soto is tied for second, and then Aaron Judge. His OPS in May, 1392.
8 points shy of perfect.
It's like
insane. It's insane how good he's been.
It's so much fun. We spoke about it on yesterday's show. It's so much fun to watch him because when he wakes up, he truly wakes up. He's not one of those players that wakes up, like when you wake up and you stretch and you kind of do things slow. And no, he jumps out of the bed and gets his day. Like that's how he does it.
When he wakes up, he's ready for the party. He's here for the party.
Yeah, it's incredible. Okay, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. Also reply to the pinned comment on our videos from Monday through Thursday if you want your questions answered for Fan Mail Friday, which is coming up tomorrow. Or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in the description. You'll get texts from us. You can text us questions. There's a 14-day free trial. It's a lot of fun. But coming up next, Aaron Boone admits he was wrong on Tuesday night.
If you're looking for tickets for just about anything, check out the app Game Time. Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all sports, music, and comedy at shows near you. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the moments before your event starts and even an hour after it starts. It's a place to find last-minute seats. Guys, I went to Rangers game 2 last round against the Hurricanes, that double overtime classic, right? We bought tickets in the parking lot before we walked to the Garden on Game Time with the $20 code off. And that's what we're giving you here at Locked On. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app today and get $20 off your first purchase with code LOCKEDONMLB. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONMLB, all caps, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, Game Time. And Locked On Yankees is also sponsored by FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. A bet that I love, Celtics to win the NBA Finals. You're in the minus money part of the bet, but you can still get your money's worth at minus 160 with the Boston Celtics. Is anyone really beating this team? They've seemed to run through every single team in the Eastern Conference. That's why they're my favorite bets. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Welcome back to Locked On Yankees. Locked On Sports Today is a free 24/7 streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the noise. Locked On Sports Today brings you canvas analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And don't forget, you can also catch every pitch of the Yankees' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. You just got to download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. Stacey, weird thing when your dad admits that he's wrong on something, but Aaron Boone came forward and did admit that he was possibly wrong by bringing in Caleb Ferguson last night. I took a little bit of joy.
Wait, you mean not bringing in Caleb Ferguson?
Not bringing in Caleb Ferguson and bringing in Clayton Andrews. My apologies. I got the C's mixed up. I want to sit here and say that it gives me some solace in seeing that Aaron Boone admitted that he was wrong, but they still lost the game. The loss still goes in the loss column. It's like if you're an NBA fan, when the NBA releases those after game reports on how the officiating was, who cares? They missed the call at the end. They still lost the game. So what does it matter? I still can't get over this move, and I got to check the comments to see how everyone was reacting, because bringing in a guy with a 6.6 ERA when it becomes a one-run game, it'll never make sense to me. I defy any of you to make it make sense. I don't get it. And then Boone with the excuse to rattle it off too, where he said he should have used Ferguson. And his excuse was that Ferguson wasn't available because he wasn't fully rested because he threw 7 pitches the night prior. Aaron, come back to us. I mean, he threw 7 pitches. If the guy can't throw more than 7 pitches 2 nights in a row, you know what I'm saying? Your face says it all. Then why is he a professional athlete? I mean, seriously, it's 2 nights in a row. He threw 7 pitches the night prior.
That's really bad.
Yeah,
that's bad. You can't. There are certain things you can't say. You can admit you made a mistake, but you can't say, "Oh, well, he threw 7 pitches. He wasn't rested enough for me to bring him in again."
It's May. It's May. I mean, and to not bring him again, they lost the game anyway, and Birdie came in and gave up the home run. But you also talk about too, pitchers thrive off of being in their own routine, right? They love to be in a routine, and You're going into this you're asking Birdie to not be in a routine, to come in a messy inning, to get through that, and then go the next inning, and then he gives up the home run. That could also have a factor in why Birdie wasn't. The whole thing is a trickle-down effect, right? And to me, again, it just feels like everything is scripted. Where they were going into this game and they knew at some point they had to find a way to use Clayton Andrews. I can't stand the excuse of, because this is the other thing Boone used in the post game. This is right after the game in the post game. I just love the lane he had. Well, stop. Could you ever imagine Billy Martin using that excuse after a game? I loved the lane he had. I mean, what lane does the last guy on the depth chart have? And again, this is no disrespect to Caleb Ferguson, but clearly the Clayton Andrews. I'm sorry. This is no disrespect to Clayton Andrews because clearly the Yankees don't believe in him much. Because the second after that game ended, he was sent right back down to AAA to make room for Tommy Kahnle. Right back down. And I know that was to make room for Tommy Kahnle, but he wasn't lasting on this roster. So maybe it was to try and get him some major league time. I don't know what Boone was thinking, but I can't with these kind of moves. I can't.
I don't understand because they've had other instances where they bring guys in from AAA and then they don't use them and then they just send them down. It's like just an extra body in case you need someone, which is like, and that's how it should have been on Tuesday night. He shouldn't have been in that position. It should have been Birdie coming into that situation when they were up 4-3.
We've said it too. If they were down 4-0 and Gleyber doesn't hit the home run, okay.
Yeah, bring him in.
Bring him in. Let him get some time. If he gives it the home run, it makes fine. I think, all right, we'll get over it. What bothers me is the fact that the home run is hit. A very crowded stadium for a Tuesday night gets into the game. It's also a big home run that gets the team riled up because Gleyber is a guy that's kind of been struggling, especially with power all year. Gleyber gets it going, hits the home run, really gets into one. The whole stadium's buzzing on a Tuesday night, and they're just, you kill every bit of momentum that crowd had. Again, I know they have one of the best records in baseball, and I know it's not that big of a deal, but when the division comes down to a game or two at Baltimore in October, that you're going to look back on that loss and be like, damn. And then you're going to look back on the Milwaukee loss and be like, damn, this is the second game now this year the managers directly lost them. It is.
Yeah. Well, then that's the other problem because how many times has the manager been a major issue in the playoffs as well, making moves that he shouldn't make, putting people in he shouldn't put in, and
that's what concerns me when they essentially brought him back in the offseason without even a thought. They didn't give anybody's not that they should, but they didn't listen to anyone in the fan base, anyone in the media, anyone in the radio shows, anyone in the podcast. No one was listened to. And say what you want. And I'm not saying Brian Cashman should sit down and study Locked On Yankees and ask us what he thinks we should do with the manager. No one's saying that. But clearly there was no opinion that was out on an outside listened to on Aaron Boone because it was a fait accompli that he was coming back no matter what. And it just doesn't show that in now, 6 years of managerial experience that he's learned. Right. It doesn't seem like he's learned anything. It seems like he's doing the exact same thing and making the same mistakes he made in year one.
That's what my problem is with him. He's not learning from his mistakes. He's learned some things. He's learned not to punt the last game of a series by putting out the C lineup. He finally figured that out last season. Thank you for that. But there are some things that he still does, and I just don't understand how someone, and I said this on the show last year, I don't understand how someone who was literally raised in the sport of baseball, whose grandfather played, whose father played, like everyone in his family, his brother, everyone in that family is involved in baseball, how he still doesn't have a feel for certain things. And it drives me crazy.
And I get part of his hiring draw was the fact that he's an analytical guy and he embraces the analytics. And I understand them liking that. And I get most teams would like that nowadays. And I'm convinced that if he got fired, he'd find a job fairly quickly, honestly, because not maybe into the offseason, but teams like managerial guys, and Boone does embrace the analytics. And he was setting himself up for a job when he was on the ESPN broadcast because continuously you would hear him use analytical phrases and analytical terms. He was making it known in the public that he's a big analytical believer. And I'm not an anti-analytics guy, but there is, like you said, you would think he'd have more of a heartbeat to the game, more of a feel to the game when he's as much of a lifer as you could possibly get. That's what's weird to me is He's been around the game since the literal 70s, and he just doesn't have that feel. And it maybe he does have the feel, and maybe he does have the intuition at times to go with his gut and know what the right move is, but he still goes with what the analytics tell him, and it's very frustrating.
Yeah. I'm just glad he admitted he was wrong, because there are other times where he does stuff like this and he doesn't admit it, and he makes excuses and he says, well, this guy is this and this guy's this, which he did a little bit, but at least he admitted some sort of, maybe I should have done this instead of that.
He didn't fully admit it, though. He did give himself plenty of excuses to back himself up.
Right.
He did give you the complete BS of Ferguson wasn't available because he threw 7 pitches the night prior. Take a lap, Aaron.
Right.
And then he gave you the again another BS one. He liked the lane that he was in. What lane could you like that Clayton Andrews is in? He has a 6.6 ERA in AAA. What was the lane that you loved for him? And by the way, the lane that he loved for him was bringing him in at the start of an inning against a switch hitter. It's not even like you could sit on, he was coming in against the lefty, and I like the lefty-lefty matchup with his sweeper. You can't even use that on me because he brought him in against a switch hitter. It just, none of it made any sense.
All right, coming up next, previewing the final game of this 4-game series that, like I said at the top, it feels like a 6-game, feels like we're watching a minor league team play a 6-game series. It's really long, but we're going to talk about it. We're already past the 50-game mark of the baseball season, so don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your Prize Picks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Speaking of strikeouts, if you're listening to this early in the morning before Luis Gil starts, I would pick him to probably have more strikeouts than what Prize Picks is giving you. And also Yankees with their first inning runs. I know it's Luis Castillo, but it's the Yankees also. So I would pick that too. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Testing my skills on Prize Picks this baseball season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $100 with just a few taps. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for a $100 first deposit match. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV Channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV Channels app. And remember, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. So as I mentioned, it's the clash of the Luises, Luis Castillo against Luis Gil in the final game of this 4-game set against Seattle. Should be an interesting one. It's an early one, as we've mentioned many times so far this week, a 12:35 start at Yankee Stadium. Castillo is 4-5 with a 3.28 ERA. Gil, best pitcher for the Yankees, best starter so far this season, 2.39 ERA. He's 5-1 on the year.
Hard to imagine he could actually repeat what he did in the last game, right, where he had 14 strikeouts. I mean, that you're not going to find a better performance all year than what in all of Major League Baseball than what he did in the last game. That was unbelievably impressive. Still an important game, though. I know it's early on in the season, and we keep saying though, but losing a series 3 out of 4 against one of the better teams in the American League, as opposed to getting a split here after the first 2 games you really lost in heartbreaking fashion, really could be a big step for this team, especially going on this big West Coast road trip. You're on the road and you're playing late night games all of next week. So really big, especially going into that long flight to get out of the Bronx with the win. They'll get into San Diego pretty early, though, I assume, right? Because again, 12:35 start on a Thursday. Very strange in the Bronx.
Yeah. I don't remember how the time change works, like when you're flying backwards and how long it takes to get out there and what time it's going to be. All I know is the last time I flew home from California, I took a 9 a.m. flight and I landed at 5. And I was like, wow, I lost the whole day.
Yeah, you do lose a lot when you fly back from the West Coast. You don't get lucky if you're a Yankee fan with these games in San Diego also, because sometimes you hope if it's a weekend series, they'll play a little earlier, right? And you'll get like a 4 o'clock star, you'll get like a 1 o'clock star. You don't get any of those. You get 9:40 Friday night. Better than the old school. I don't know.
10-10.
I don't know if you remember these, like the games in Oakland. That'll first pitch will be at 10:38. And it's like, oh God, like those games never end. And I remember being in like middle school and high school, like a complete buffoon, staying up all night watching those games why was I watching Yankees A's in 2012 till 2 o'clock in the morning? There was no reason to be doing that, but I digress. You get 9:40 on Friday, you get 9:40 on Saturday, and then you get 4:10 on Sunday. So a little bit earlier on Sunday, but not much better. So that can get quite annoying if you're a time guy with those kind of things. And then later on in the week, I mean, you go to LA against the Angels, right? That's an exhausting series. Really a really exhausting road trip coming up. So I think splitting the series is actually bigger than it sounds, right? Because you think of it as whatever, it's a Mariners series in May, but it does mean a lot to be able to split the series, not think twice, move on. Again, you're in the business now with the way that you've gotten off to this year. You just want to keep winning series. And that in 4-game series, that's included in tying series. So go out there, tie this series, and get out of the Bronx.
Right. I think the key to this game is scoring against Castillo, obviously. Heel doing as well as he normally does. Maybe not 14 strikeouts, but keeping those guys at bay, keeping the walks down, keeping the strikeouts up. And I just want to see the offense kind of build a little bit on what happened on Wednesday night. It wasn't a blowout. The runs happened because of home runs. But as you said, it is so much better heading out to the West Coast after a split as opposed to losing 3 out of 4 at home. So just split.
It's a long trip, this West Coast trip, too. It's San Diego, LA, and then I didn't even realize it's you get the Giants.
Yeah.
So you're out there. You're out there for a whole week. So I mean, you really don't want to go into this on a little bit of a lull, in especially with the way this homestand started off, right? With the sweep against the White Sox, following that sweep against the Twins, you came in with a long winning streak. Just finish it off with a 2 out of 2 and go on the road. Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting time. Also, programming note, because those games in Anaheim don't start till 9:38, I think. Our show's gonna be. It's not gonna be up at midnight because the game's not gonna be over at midnight. So. Yep. Yeah, West Coast trip times are gonna be different next week. Just to give you a heads up.
Big coffee week.
Just want to, yeah.
Big coffee week for me and Stacey.
If you watched the show last year, when was the West Coast road trip? I'm trying to remember. There are a couple of shows where you can clearly tell, because Steve lived out in California, so for him it was normal time. He was fine, but. Yeah, so he was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and then you'd have me in the split screen looking like, exhausted with glassy eyes.
By a truck,
Yeah, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning here, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. So just a programming note, things are going to be later next week. But you guys, if you're everydayers and if you've been listening, watching to the show for years, you know how West Coast road trips go. So let's just hope everything goes well for the Yankees out there playing against... I'm actually looking forward to Soto and Judge playing together at Petco. Soto's familiar with it, so it's going to be fun watching that. And we have Javi Reyes on the show with us for tomorrow. It's going to be Fan Mail Friday, but we're also going to have Javi talking about the Padres because we always like doing crossovers with Javi. And you get to meet Javi, Brian. I'm excited about this.
Very excited.
Yeah. So one more time, you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. There's a link in the description under our YouTube videos and a 14-day free trial. You get text from us. You can text us questions, or you can leave your questions under the pinned comment below our YouTube videos to get those questions answered for Fan Mail Friday. We do it every week. It's a lot of fun. If you join the Insiders Club, you get top priority, but we'll still answer your questions on YouTube. And remember, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll see you guys tomorrow.